Hey guys, welcome to season 2 of Awaken and Manifest Your Best Life. So, welcome. So, in this introduction, I just want to talk about what we're going to be going over in this episode. I know some people like a little bit of a preview. First, Happy New Year! Oh my gosh, we are in 2023. Amazing. So what we're going to be going over in this episode is I'm going to teach you some of my top success tips for the new year. I want to go over the power of simplicity, the power of the path of least resistance, and most importantly, what you can do immediately to start really allowing yourself to have that success mindset with the new year. Whether it's what you're looking to manifest, whether it's looking what you're setting your goals or your new habits at. What I want to do for this episode is I had a lot of inspiration around productivity over the years. And I've learned a ton about how you can get better when it comes to productivity and going after your goals. And most importantly, going after your dreams. And I think a lot of the times we can find ourselves maybe caught up in overwhelm or where we're overstriving and hustling. And as a result, we can kind of lose ourselves within the dream. And what I've learned is these are some of the top tips that have really helped me pursue my own goals. And I want to share them with you. So enjoy.
Energy is who you are. Energy is how we change our life.
We have to realize that understanding energy is how we can fundamentally change ourselves from the inside out and understand that one shift, one perspective, one decision away, literally one decision away from a different life, from a different truth, from a different way of living. This is for the soul-led leaders, the awakened ones, the revolutionaries, the visionaries, the change makers, the light workers, the empaths, the true awakened ones. This is our story. Are you ready? Welcome to Awaken and Manifest Your Best Life with Ashley from theawakened.net. It's time to wake up to who you truly are. Welcome to the podcast. It's time for the activation. And remember, the universe is inside of you and you hold the power to design your life. Enjoy the show. Welcome to season 2 of Awaken and Manifest Your Best Life. Hey guys, I am so excited you are here. Oh my gosh. So before I begin, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for tuning in and listening. Thank you for reading and subscribing at the Awaken State. I'm just so impressed with how big our community has grown over the years. And it's just kind of amazing to me how even this podcast has been growing very successfully. And one thing I noticed is, because I frequently look at the stats just because I'm curious, and I've noticed that most of the high-ranking episodes are the brand new episodes. So this year, I'm going to try to incorporate more brand new episodes because I think, it's nice to freshen up the podcast and not just make it just about the YouTube channel. So you'll start to see that start to flow in more this year. And most importantly, this episode, I want to spend some time talking about our focus in the path of least resistance, because one of the hugest lessons I've really learned a lot last year was all about our focus and the power of least resistance. So let me first start by saying that I've just returned from almost a 3-week break. And I gave myself a lot of space and time to figure out what I want to do next, how I want to grow, what do I want to step into next as a business owner, as a leader, and really what I want to bring to the awakened state moving forward. And most importantly, I just wanted a break to really spend time with family and enjoy the holidays. I hope you also found time to really sit back, relax, dream, reflect, and really allow yourself to let go. Because I think the power of detachment is something that so many people miss and don't realize how powerful and simple that we can when we take a break from our obsessions, our fixations, all of these things that we're normally just super hyper focused on, it can give us so much clarity that wasn't normally there because we're always focused on it. And I think that power of having a break, detachment, really stepping back into that simplicity of being in the present flow of life, it's just so important. And we can often miss that. And I think that was one of the hugest things I've learned since break is like, wow, really stepping back and detaching. I've seen how much I've grown this year. I've seen so much how I've changed the business to be more simplistic. And most importantly, I feel like I have such a clearer head. And it's funny because now I feel a little bit overwhelmed because I have so many ideas. I have so much motivation and kind of like so many directions that I want to take everything. And I think that can also be a tricky space to navigate. So I want to talk a little bit about that and how I've personally been choosing to actually slow down before I speed up. And I'll tell you why. Because for one, like right now, we just recently got a kitten. And so I swear to God, she is like a newborn. She's so funny. Oh my gosh. So she's been like actually a lot of work, which is funny. You know, I have 2 children and now I have a kitten and we have our full grown cat. And I know this is silly, but holy cow, they take up a lot of my time. And a lot of my energy. And so with everyone being home, it feels like it's been really important to come back to what matters and really kind of allow myself to step more into what can I do in a way where it's more simple, but I'm doing less and I'm receiving more results. And I think that is sometimes a tricky space to navigate because in the new year, we can frequently have so many ideas, so much possibility is opening up for us. And while this can be like such a magical and dreaming space, it can also be really hard to kind of not fall into, oh my gosh, there's so much to do. I have the entire year to plan. What do I need to do next? And we can fall into this trap of getting really lost down the rabbit hole of overwhelm, overcompensating, overdoing. And I think one of the hugest things I really learned last year was to stop doing that, to stop overthinking, to stop overdoing, to stop overplanning, to stop trying to follow all of the steps and all of the rules and instead allow myself to trust myself. And I think being in the space of where you can start to trust yourself, your intuition really like unlocks and strengthens. And the more that you step into trusting yourself and being like, well, this is what I feel guided to do right now. And I actually am doing enough right now for what, my energetic bandwidth is allowing. And I think allowing yourself to strip back actually helps you more because here's the thing. Your mind, and this is scientifically proven, even in, psychology, that your mind can only focus on one thing at a time. So if you ever feel like you're a multitasker or you think you can get a lot of things done at the same time, like that's actually just an illusion because you're just tricking your brain to like fire all of these neurons at the same time for different activities, but you're actually doing a half-assed job of all of those activities because you're not allowing yourself to focus. So like I said, what I've learned this year is it's all about the power of honing your focus like a laser beam for what you want. And when it comes to manifestation, goal setting, intention setting, like there's so much stigma at the beginning of the year that we need to have the master vision. We need to have all of our goals for the entire year set up. We have to have all of this stuff planned and mapped out and all of this, like, we need to plan our entire year in a day on January 1st. And all of this stuff is like crap because it completely dismisses how your intuitive nature is. Like, it's so good to create the vision, be in the planning, be in the dreaming space of what do you want to do next? Who do you want to be? How do you want to live your life? What do you want to have? What do you want to do? What do you want to be? There's nothing wrong with that, but it's when we get into a place of overdoing, overcompensating, and kind of lose ourselves inside of the vision. And I think this is something that I've learned a ton about when it comes to manifestation, is you can lose yourself in your own visions and get stuck overcomplicating what is actually simple. And so what I've learned when it comes to setting up those new goals for yourself, you have a New Year's resolution, you have some new goals you want to set for the new year, you have some new intentions or some new manifestations that you want to work on. Like, here's the thing. It's not about working on them. And this is gonna what? It's not about working towards them. That is the illusion in a nutshell. We don't need to be in a mentality where we're working towards a goal, working towards an intention, working towards something. And instead, it's rather about trusting yourself that it's already done, but you're going to hone your focus and bring that towards you. And this can be like, whoa, this is such a mindfuck. What do you mean? Well, when we're working towards something, we're literally in the mentality of we have to do particular things to get a certain outcome. And this is something that I've been learning so much about. So if you're in any of my newer courses, I'm sure you've heard me preach on this. But when we're in the do mentality, we lose sight of the being mentality. And the being mentality helps us go into the doing mentality. So it's like, in order to be an energetic match to something, you have to be that thing first in order to be pulled into the doing of that thing. It doesn't work from a place of, I have to jot down my goals and then I have to write my to-do list of this is what I need to do first, this is what I need to do second, this is what I need to do third, and then allow myself to go do them, and then obviously I'm going to get my result. That isn't how the universe works. Contrary to popular opinion in society, when we are in a mentality where we're in the beingness of knowing that the result is done, and we have set our compass, we set our GPS system up, now we are in the energy of knowing that we will be pulled towards that thing. Now, does this mean we take no action? No, not necessarily at all. This is about trusting yourself that you are committed to the action anyway, from a state of flow, from a state of your intuition, where you feel pulled to take a new action, where you feel pulled to do that. Well, what happens when you don't feel pulled? Well, that's the thing. We have to be in that space where we're not overwhelmed and we're not frantically I have to do a million things or else I have to create the master vision and the master plan. The master plan and the master vision is literally just your ego working on overdrive, trying to overcompensate a plan that you already experienced, and it's trying to use the past evidence and the past thoughts and the past emotions and the past behaviors of how you achieve something. When you do things this way, you're only using your past to generate your present, not the new future. So when you want to achieve something completely new, when you want to go after a new goal, a new habit, a new exercise routine, a new whatever, just a new skill, you have to work with the power of possibilities, not repetition in vain with your past. So from this lens, when we go into the space in our mind where we have to overthink, overanalyze, we're in the space where we have to conjure all the steps and all of the plans, we need to realize that in order to really magnetize our vision within and to let it be pulled into our reality, we have to be the conduit. We have to be the one who believes that it is done and allows our intuition to unlock the plan and unlock the path and unlock the unfolding of the path and trust the process that it's done. And sometimes what I'll find is when you find yourself in this place where you want to sit down and carve out the vision, there's nothing wrong with that. The problem is when we go to take action from an entirely different place. So one thing that I've learned is the power of honing your focus is really about asking yourself, can I honor the vision but still hone my focus in the right direction? Because what you'll find is it's usually like two polar opposites. You have the person who's drastically in overwhelm and their focus is so scattered that they freeze and nothing gets done. And I've totally been there. And then there's also the person who's hyper-focused, who's obsessively focused and hustling their ass off and striving for the result. And 9 times out of 10, they don't get that result because they're in the polar opposite energy where they're so desperate and thirsting for their result that they also don't get it. Well, why is that? It's because neither of those people are listening to their flow. And it's due to their focus. Your focus is one of the most important assets when it comes to goal setting, habit formation, intention setting, and getting your desires, and ultimately receiving what you want, because your focus will show you your attraction power. Your focus is literally designed to do that, even neurologically. Your focus is one of the strongest assets in your toolbox because it shows you so much about what you are attracting and what you are focusing on. And what I've learned is when my focus is scattered, it's usually because, 1, I'm not getting clear on what I want. 2, I'm way too scattered in almost not specific enough about what I want. Or 3, I'm so overwhelmed with too much focus, too many ideas, too much stuff that it all gets lost in translation. And so what I found over the years is it's important to really, if you want to start a new exercise routine, or you want to start a new skill, or you want to do personal development work, what I invite you to do is to not fall down this trap of where you're downloading like tons of freebies and then you're buying like 10 to 15 books and then you're so overwhelmed by all of the material and all of the courses and all of the stuff that nothing gets done and it becomes a half-ass project and nothing gets accomplished. Well, why is that? Again, it's your focus. So what I invite you to do instead is when you think about your master vision or, your master plan that you're creating, there's nothing wrong with the planning or the visioning or the dreaming or asking yourself, what do you truly want? But it does start with getting clear on focusing on at least 3 things that you do want next. And to allow yourself to focus on, well, what are those 3 things that I want to call into my life? What are those 3 goals I want to call into my life? What are those 3 habits I want to call into my life? What are those 3 things or intentions? Or, they could even be a non-material goal, such as, more self-care or more reading time, whatever it may be. And then instead of focusing on all the things, rather than just like obsessing about all of these different goals or all of these different projects or all of these different like courses or books or whatever it may be for you, instead just focus on those 3. And what you'll do is you'll find that there's a magic that starts to happen. When you only focus on 3 to 5 things, and then you start building up from that, that's when your intuition can really start to get on board. And it's like, okay, so we have this master list of what we want to accomplish, but we're just going to focus on these 3 things. And from there, you can start to hone in your focus even more and be like, okay, so if the first one's exercise, what am I going to change in my habits about exercise to start a workout routine? And then for the next habit, maybe it's eating more healthy snacks. So what can I do in my day-to-day habits to start changing more, to align with more healthy eating? And, the third one could be more personal development work. Well, okay, how can I spend more time doing personal development work in my day-to-day routine? Now, that's the practical side. Now, on the energetic side, we have to set those intentions into motion. So here's the thing. If you don't ask yourself what you want and start setting intentions towards what you want, you are literally like the person who forgot to set the target when you're trying to shoot a bow and arrow. You're just literally shooting your bow and arrow into nowhere because you don't have a target. You don't have anything to aim at. So when it comes to getting clear on setting your intentions, it first begins with getting clear on what do you want. Because if you don't know what you want and you're not telling yourself the truth unapologetically of what you want, then automatically you will just get your natural default, which is what you already have, which is what you already have in your past, what you already have in your present. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But in order to want something fully new into your life, you have to take new action. You have to take new measures of behavior, and you have to ask yourself deeper questions than just what's going on right now. And I think when we often miss that first step, we don't even realize that we haven't even got started yet. So a lot of people will approach, New Year's as this place where it's like, this year is going to be different. New year, new me. And then a lot of the times they set themselves up for failure because they don't allow that time for growth. They don't allow that time to understand like how a habit works. A habit is established between like 28 to 90 days. Like it depends on your formation of your mindset towards that habit and that goal. When we don't look at how our focus can play a vital role in that, we can often lose ourselves within the vision and within the goal. And then what will happen is we'll either fail at achieving that goal, or we'll get upset because we're so far away from that goal, or we'll get so overwhelmed that we freeze and overwhelm and don't take any action at all, and we completely negate our goals and our passions. One thing that I've learned tremendously when it comes to overcoming that is what I just told you. It's about honing your focus like a laser beam, but not in a way where you're in frantic hustle or pushing yourself forward, but rather you're setting up the target. You're giving yourself something to aim at. And I think it's like hilarious to me because if I look back at my old journals and just what I've written down in like some of my goals maps and my soul map visioning that I teach in Awaken Your Aligned Vision workshop that's going to be launching later this month. What I've done is like, I see that a lot of the times it's not about like, well, do this, do this, do this, do this, and then I get my goal. Instead, it's rather like I wrote all this stuff down and somehow it all got done. And somehow it's already my reality. And I think the fact that I just wrote it down and I got clear about what I want, and then ultimately I literally just let it go. Like somehow, some way, it just magically did come to life. But it started because I put the target out there. I put the aim out there. And I think that's where so many of us get it wrong. And this was one of my hugest lessons I learned last year was we overthink, overanalyze, overcompensate, and we get stuck in this mentality where we're way too much in our heads and not enough in our bodies. And we get so caught up in the dream that we lose sight of the dream. We literally shoot ourselves in the foot because we're not trusting ourselves to pursue our own vision and our own goals. And that's ultimately what it comes down to. How willing are you to trust yourself to move forward? How willing are you to take one step forward that you didn't take yesterday? And because that is what it's really about. It's about establishing a habit, but it's also about trusting your intuition to guide you and unlock the pathway forward to pursue your result, to pursue what you desire. And when it comes back to is that simplicity edge, because if you're not simplistic about it, you get lost in your ego and you're overcompensated in your head and you're not tuned into your body where your magnetism is showing you the way forward. So one of the hugest things I really learned last year is magnetism is the secret ingredient to almost every single manifested result you desire. Because the more you tune into your own body and your magnetism and your intuition, you're allowing yourself to literally unlock the pathway that will bring you the result. You cannot do that from the ego. It's physically impossible. The ego has never created it before. The ego has never seen it before. And possibly you've never experienced it before. So how the fuck does the ego know the answer? The ego doesn't know the answer. How could it? How could it know the answer if you've never experienced it before, you never created it before, and you've never even seen it before? Of course it doesn't. So instead, what you have to do is you have to trust yourself. It's almost like free falling. It's literally like the Tom Petty song. You have to free fall and trust your intuition to guide you. And I think that's one of the most powerful things. But it comes back to that foundational set of what do you want? What do you unapologetically want for this year? What do you unapologetically want in the next 3 months? What do you unapologetically want this month? Are you setting intentions? Have you set an intention that you want that? Have you honed your focus on that? Have you allowed yourself to see it and feel it as done and that it exists for you? And are you trusting yourself long enough to unlock your magnetism, to unlock magnetic action forward? And when we get into that space, it becomes not a conversation of this is my master vision. This is my master plan. And instead it's this is my plan right now and I will be shown the pathway. This is my clarity right now, but more clarity will come to me as I go. I think it's so funny. We can often I need all the clarity, all the vision, all the stuff, all the things. And what happens is you're just coming from your ego. You're no longer in the dream. You're just overcompensating everything. And the funny thing is it's kind of just like when I started a business, it wasn't an idea for a business. It was an idea for a book that transformed into a website, which transformed into a business. I did not have the idea for a business until I made the website, and I didn't have the website until I had the idea for the book. But none of those things were connected, and I didn't even know I wanted them until I started carving out the vision. And so one thing I want to tell you is sometimes you won't have the clarity, and that's okay, because you will be gifted the clarity. You will be given the clarity. The more you walk the pathway, you'll be given the pathway. The more that you allow yourself to step into your intuition and your trust and your soul guidance and your soul nourishment, you allow yourself to be given the pathway towards what you want. So when it comes back to is how do we get to that place? Well, it starts with what I just said. It starts with you have to establish your focus first. Because what's the point if the universe doesn't understand what the heck you want? If you're not getting clear on what you want, the universe cannot get behind your free will. Like, the universe cannot get behind you until you get behind you. And I've said this before. The universe cannot get behind you until you get behind yourself and your own desires and the own desires of what you truly want in your life. Until you're ready and willing to admit that, you will stay on default mode. And there's nothing wrong with that. But in order to have a new habit, new goal, a new vision, a new anything, whether this is a relationship or a career or a new business or a child or whatever you're calling into your life, it begins with some of these core critical questions, because otherwise there's nothing to latch onto and you have no target to aim at. But what I'm trying to tell you is a lot of the journey is figuring out your target. The clearer you get on your target, the more clarity and the more resolution will occur naturally, because it's almost like you're chipping away and carving it out as you go. And it's like you're walking on the pathway, and then the pathway is starting to reveal itself as you go. So it's like, I didn't know I wanted a business, but that came to fruition after studying websites. And it didn't even pop into my head until a certain amount of time where I realized that writing the book right now wasn't the best option for me. And so it started to snowball in a totally different direction because of literally I was tuning into a pathway due to the target I was aiming at. And I think if you just cut it back to that, it becomes so much simpler to understand. And that's why a lot of what I teach in Awaken Your Aligned Vision, the workshop that's coming out soon, is I teach you how you can break this down into a way where you're setting up a vision for your life, but you're also honing your focus in a way where you can create like an aligned game plan, which is not even a plan. It's a matter of mastering your mindset, mastering your magnetic action taking, really looking at your intuition and what you want to call in, and allowing yourself to dig deeper into those questions to allow yourself to essentially craft a new life for yourself, or a new vision for yourself, or a new goal for yourself. And so many people don't do this, and that's why they settle with jobs they hate and career paths that don't suit them and have ill health, and, you know, the list goes on. When we think about our lives from this point of you're the one in the driver's seat, but it begins with getting clear. Are you asking for what you want? Are you focused on what you want or what you don't want? Be real with yourself. Are you more focused on what you don't want, or are you focused on what you do want? And if you're focused more on what you don't want, well, that's just showing you what you do want. This isn't hard, guys. When you get more into the simplicity of carving out that master vision and allowing yourself to be like, actually, this is what I want. And to stream that back and to allow yourself to dream and to allow yourself to get clear and to ask yourself, what are 3 things I can change? What are just 3 things I can change? That can start a massive snowball effect into your life. Okay, so Awaken Your Aligned Vision will be coming out later this month. I just wanted to give you a really good dose of inspiration and motivation and clarity for your new year, because I know that it can be really easy to find yourself in this space of feeling overwhelmed or frantic or like, I got to do all the things. And I think it really comes back to what I just said. You have to really hone your focus. You have to get clear, and you have to allow yourself to trust yourself that sometimes clarity isn't there, and that's okay, because it will be revealed further on the pathway. But just start with asking yourself, what are 3 things I desire to change? What are 3 habits that I can build on from that change? What are 3 things I can change in my routine that would help me change those things? And then to allow yourself to trust your intuition to guide you to the next step. And if you need even further help from that, you can say, God, angels, universe, or higher self, guide me to the next steps. What is the next step I need to take? And allow yourself to be given the way. So much of what we see in the goal setting space is highly backwards because it tells us to not trust ourselves. And it tells us to not allow ourselves to just act from within. And acting from within is so much stronger and more powerful than working towards an outcome. Okay, so I love you guys. That is what I'm going to leave with. It is ultimately about acting from within, not working towards an outcome. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this new lesson from the Awakened State. I would love to hear your own thoughts. You can share them in our Mighty Networks group. I'll leave a link down below for you. And most importantly, stay tuned for Awaken Your Aligned Vision. Oh, and finally, I do want to say, I personally believe that we don't even need to start our visioning work until like February, because January sets the groundwork. We're still kind of weaning off of holiday. And most importantly, we shouldn't put so much pressure on ourselves to just immediately get it right. And it's all about the journey and trusting that journey. And that's really what it comes back to completely. Okay. I love you guys. See you next time. Hey guys, Ashley here. Thank you for joining me in another episode of the Awaken and Manifest Your Best Life podcast. This is going to be the space for manifesting tips, energy tips, spiritual awakening advice, and all things receiving that kick your ass soul injection back to your personal alignment. I do have a free gift for you if you're ready to be a VIP and receive exclusive access to our Awaken library, packed full of guidebooks, audios, meditations, workbooks, quizzes, and tons of goodies for yours truly. You can get that all at library.theawakenedstate.net. Head to library.theawakenedstate.net. So enjoy that, and remember, you always are more than enough because the universe is inside of you and you hold the power to design your life.